Recording in progress.
Let's get the show on the road.
Oh my goodness, everybody. It is, I don't even know, Tuesday, Wednesday. Who doesn't matter because it's such an exciting day. It's Good Brother Morning. You got Joe Dog Hallam here. We got Rex the Boot Atkins. Rex the Boot Atkins.
Man.
We got EZE Eric Kearney. And I almost feel bad about calling myself Joe Dog Hallam because today we have one of my personal heroes. We have the original big dog, Geza Kalman Jr. Ladies and gentlemen.
Junior. How you guys doing?
Hey, you edited in crowd. Thank you.
There we go. That's good.
It is an honor to have you on, Geza. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right, man. Thank you. How you guys keeping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
As good as you can during all this, I guess.
It wouldn't. It just wouldn't be a talk with Geza without a big wad of chew. What do you got, Copenhagen, or what are you working on?
No, I'm a Grizzly.
Grizzly.
Rex is a winner go-to.
Grizzly Wintergreen.
Yeah. It's if I'm it'll be Copenhagen wintergreen if I can get it, but it's hard to get. So yeah, Grizzly's good. Where are you buying dip?
Down in Brantford on the Indian Reserve.
Right. Yeah. I know down here it's like crazy to find. Like you go to a store, it's like $24 for a can, and it's all dried out.
Oh man,
and old.
Even there, it was like, like $10 a tin. I was like, you know what? I'm here. I was just out and riding on the bike and stuff, and it was like, stop for gas, and I'm like, oh my God, they got Grizzly Wintergreen. I'm like, oh, that's a fan favorite for me. So I gotta get it.
Geza, you were in the, as a lot of people may know, you were in the UFC. You were in the WWF at the time, WWF. But let's forget all about that because clearly your greatest accomplishments have been your TikToks lately. Geza Kalman Jr. is on TikToks, folks, and if you haven't seen them, the MC Hammer one might be the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then you just added, was it Share? Was that today you did Share?
Yeah. I did a Share one today with, it's just kind of my interpretation of, each song, like whatever song I'm going to do. So,
wow.
Where can I find these? How do you find them?
Well, I share them on Facebook. I just go, I had a pretty easy work, and I didn't have a work name. My work name is my shoot name, and then I was coming up with a couple ideas for the TikTok, and then I was just like, you know what? I'm doing it under my name, So even there, it's just Geza _ Kalman _ Jr. So
awesome. It's definitely
I seem to have a lot of time on my hands right now, so just.
Why not put a skirt on and do some dancing?
yeah. Each one's going to be a little bit different, right? So
Joe does the same thing. He just doesn't record it.
Yeah, just nobody sees it. I just go in front of the miror and I say,
he goes down there and tucks his sack back.
I just followed you, so I'm in.
I see that. I just got a notification for that on my phone. So
that's awesome. Yeah, listeners, go and follow Geza because they're
absolutely.
Geza, I have a question. During all this COVID stuff, have you still been doing the traveling toilet?
You know what? It's kind of. I'll probably start doing that again now because people are. I wouldn't say less cautious. They're just a little more tired of it. So, like to get out in public, right now is it's not as frowned upon. So, like it might get me some heat, but I'm not bragging or nothing, but I had the opportunity. I'm already fully vaxxed. I've had needle 1 and 2. I mean, I've got, I fall into the high health risk now. So, I didn't go looking for it. It was just, I do dialysis treatment now. Unfortunately, I had kidney failure just before Christmas there. So they were coming through and they're like, hey, we're giving the shots, at the clinic, during treatment. Do you want yours? Yeah, sure. Why not? If you're gonna come around and do it, I might as well take it.
Geza is so tough. He's like, just send it to my house. I'll fucking stab it in my
I'll
own
do
neck.
it myself.
I don't give a shit.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. Shoot it out of a fucking harpoon gun. I don't care. Go ahead. Hit me with whatever.
What I don't understand. What I don't
Just get
understand
me while
about
I'm going across the yard.
Yeah. Give me a head start and then shoot me. Yeah.
I got mine on Sunday, and the thing I don't understand about it is like the girl who was ahead of me is like 120 pounds, and she got 0.5 whatever of the same stuff, and I got it as well. I'm like a 300-pound dude. Is that the set? Like, does it matter? Like, shouldn't you get more if you're bigger?
No.
I have absolutely no idea, right?
I don't know. I'm just comparing it to like any steroids or anything I've ever done
in the medical industry.
I don't think so, because I think I think 6 units of insulin in a thing given to me and given to, somebody smaller would probably have the same. If it's all how it goes into your system or something, I guess, right? I don't know.
Yeah, all it's doing is going into your bloodstream. It's not.
Yeah. So I guess Rex's question is, does like a fat dude like him and I, or mainly me, do we make the same amount of blood as a not as fat person? So do we have the same?
It's still circulating through your body.
There's probably a minimum of that your body can create antibodies from. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the amount of KFC gravy you have in your system doesn't really.
No, probably not.
Yeah,
it might slow it down a little bit, but it'll still get around.
Yeah, good. So it's okay, Rex.
What you should be more concerned about, Rex, is that Pfizer and Moderna, they are a completely different chemical makeup than AstraZeneca. So how do they both work? Pfizer and Moderna are the same chemical makeup, and AstraZeneca is complete. It's the complete opposite of the two.
Yeah, but I mean that's the same as like ibuprofen and Tylenol, or whatever Tylenol.
I don't think they're a completely different chemical makeup.
Well, they're like ibuprofen and whatever the chemical name for Tylenol.
Ibuprofen and Tylenol are totally different.
Yeah, and yet they still both relieve a headache or relieve whatever, right?
Yeah, and aspirin makes you bleed more when you gig. It's a whole bunch of things.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Gaze is like, yeah, do whatever. I don't care. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Gaze, you're like, so I've said this before, like I've talked about you on the podcast. So I apologize behind your back, but I've said before how like you have all these great accomplishments, but you'd never mention them. Whereas if it was me, that would I brag about you more than you do. I feel like is that I'm like, yeah, I know this guy. He was in the UFC and he was in WWF and blah blah blah. So like, what are some of your favorite kind of memories from those big things, or was it kind of just a blur? And
no, it really wasn't a blur. I mean, the UFC, I participated in 2 of them. But, I got to go, I'm not sure. I think I was at a total of 6 or 7 of their pay-per-views. Like I was also in Dan Severn's corner and stuff like that. And I mean, it's hard to say. It was something I never went to looking for.
Right.
Just, right place, right time. Like they say that, right? Like a lot of things are just being at the right place at the right time. You know what I mean?
Like you had no idea that the UFC then was going to be this huge business like it is now. Back then, did it seem
no
like
way.
What years are we talking here? Like what era?
95, 96.
Okay, so midnight. Okay, yeah. Did you know Kevin Rozier?
Kevin, I know the name. I don't know.
Buffalo, New York fighter. He was crazy, man. I remember I met him a few times, and he was just like on a different planet. Like he was the crazy, scary man.
Yeah, like back in my days, there were no, there weren't even like weight classes yet.
Mm-hmm.
There were no weight classes, no rounds. Like now there were, it was. I'm not. What I like is the fact that when people talk about the old days and they talk about the glory days and they're like, they say UFC, 1 to 12 before they started doing weight divisions and shit. And I'm glad to say I was part of that. I was UFC 7 and UFC 10. So I was like right in the midst of those, the starting days, the
Yeah,
the human cockfighting days.
the Wild West. Yeah, that was like
Yeah, absolutely.
That was
Absolutely.
just animalistic.
I remember when guys like Gracie, like when those guys started showing up and they're like, look at this little guy. And then he'd hop on somebody's back and choke them out. And it's like, you're like, whoa, like that. Yeah, that was the nice part about the no weight division too, was like this big dude would be like, oh, I'm going to kill this little jujitsu guy.
Yeah, what's funny is that even before the UFC started, I knew who the Gracie family was.
Yeah.
Because my roommate in Florida at the time, I went to Malenko's down in Tampa, and there wasn't he wasn't there for the pro wrestling. He was there for the shoot fighting training.
Okay.
Because a lot of the original Japanese guys like Funaki, Suzuki, even Ken Shamrock, he originally got his start at Malenko's. So every week they would have shoot fighting classes and submission grappling. So I was exposed to it. I heard about the Gracies and stuff like that. And it's funny that, I ended up with Dan Severn, but I knew Ken Shamrock before. Like, I had met Ken Shamrock, and when I met him at one of the UFCs, we got introduced, and he looks at me and he's like, hey, I know you. You're from Tampa. And I would thought to myself, holy crap, like, he's got an amazing memory, that guy. Like, not to get into a comparison between Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock's got a skill that if you could teach it, he's the guy that should be teaching people. And in my opinion, he's got a skill that once he gets in somewhere, he makes it feel like, you can't survive without him there. Like he puts himself over, and, he makes himself seem so valuable to any company that he's with. And I think that's why the man is still busy nowadays, still able to work and get out there and stuff.
Yeah.
And that
works out.
And that's a skill, that's something that, like, if you could teach that to people, he would be the guy, to run that class.
For sure, yeah. Do you think he's a better wrestler or a better fighter? Like, which one do you think he's? Or a bit of both?
I think in his heyday of fighting, like back in the early days, like obviously he's too old to do it now. I mean, even in his last run in the UFC there and shit, or anytime, like he was battling someone, he came out on the losing end more often.
Yeah.
But he was a hell of a defensive fighter, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he could pick out your weakness, but I always thought that as a fighter, if he thought you were better skilled, he would be a lot more defensive till you made a mistake.
Right. Yeah, and
as a pro wrestler, he adapted great.
Yeah, I was going to say he was still able to, like, he was good at selling, and he was good at, like, he still knew how to work too. So. Oh,
absolutely, absolutely. He moved great because his original training was pro wrestling.
Right.
Like he was a pro wrestler initially, not a shoot fighter. Just from what they said down in, back in the old days at Tampa, is that he was so stiff and rigid that when shoot fighting came along, it was like, dude, you should go do this shit instead.
Yeah. You're murdering everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, you're killing. You're stiff. You move like a fucking brick. You should get in there and do this shoot fighting. This will probably be more your pace, more your angle.
Do you remember when I stiffed you in the ring?
Which one?
I was scared as hell. It was Jay's place. So I probably only been wrestling for like 3 years. You were the pure violence champion. And we went in there. We had the whole match ready to go. I had you in the corner. And you told me to throw a bunch of punches at you. So I started punching you. I only got like 3 in. And I cracked you in the jaw. And you go, okay, you're done.
Oh.
And that was the end of my shine.
I think I just thought of the best idea for our Patreon is where we just have you fight shoot fighters. every week on Patreon. It's just you getting choked out or slammed on
and
your
they
face.
they go, you're done.
I just
That was the same match when I did our finish, which I thought was so cool. Was you did because it was pure violence. You did the rear naked choke on me, but you did it when I was on the apron and you were in the ring, and then you kicked my feet out.
Oh yeah, I remember that. So you were hanging, and
you're and you're like, whenever you're ready to drop, just put your hands down, and that'll be my cue to drop you. So I did the struggle, dropped my hands, but because we were right in front of the crowd, I didn't want to break my own fall. So as soon as he dropped me, it was just face right off the ground.
Oh no.
Good finish.
I was just doing a deep dive on UFC videos. Like sometimes on Facebook they'll come up MMA videos and stuff. I'll just be scrolling, watching the best knockouts, the best finishes, whatever. And then I came across one which was Matt Hughes, and it was him now. And I didn't realize anything about. Have you seen him in the last little while?
No,
he got into
it. In years.
He's not the same Matt Hughes as he was.
No, he had a train out. He got hit by a train in 2017.
Yeah. Holy shit!
And had a brain injury. Yeah, and now he's he has a serious
brain
injury.
He was in a coma. He was near death. Everything.
Wow. Was he
got hit by a train and he's alive?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was he in a car or
was
was
his
he
truck?
Just
it was some sort of crossing where there was no, it was like country roads and there was no arms or anything. It was on a turn, so he couldn't see. And I guess the train, he said, was only going 39 miles an hour, but it had 60 tons of coal in it or something. So when it hit his truck, no injuries other than he hit his head really bad. And it was bad enough that now his speech is completely different. He sounds way different. And they had to teach himself how to walk again, do all that kind of stuff. Completely different guy. And it was disturbing to see. When I seen the video, I'm like, why is he talking like this? And then I did all the research. I was like, holy shit! I didn't know anything about this.
Yeah, he definitely survived a hell of an accident there, man. A hell of an accident.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even. I feel like that wasn't announced anywhere.
I think it's something to me. Maybe it's something that because I seen a video of him with Dana White on stage somewhere doing some sort of convention, and he kind of just came on stage without Dana knowing and started talking. And it's one of those situations. Some people are bad around people who have different mental disabilities and they don't know how to act. And that's how Dana was acting. He was kind of smiling, but not sure how to react. And it seems like it's one of those things that maybe he doesn't want to publicize and make a big deal out of for whatever reason.
When did Dana actually take over the UFC? You wouldn't have had anything with him to do with him, Geza, right? No. It wasn't until way kind of later that he kind of took everything over.
Yeah, I mean, he when I fought for the UFC, they were still owned by SEG, which was the company after the Gracies.
So was there a promoter or how did UFC work? Was there a guy you had to talk to or answer to or?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea. I literally got in there just literally by smoke and mirrors.
Wow. So you didn't have to go talk to somebody, be like, "Hi, my name's Geza," and blah blah blah. They were just
No, they put a. I mean, right now they got everything. They got huge press conferences for all the weigh-ins and shit. Yeah. I mean, back in my day, there was fuck all. Yeah. You know what I mean? There was maybe a couple Japanese reporters there. You know what I mean, with their cameras and shit. And maybe some sports reporter, and literally that was it. Mm-hmm. So they were putting their first press package together for UFC 10. So, I had to do, they called me up and did an interview and shit. And then, I get to the show and I'm like, okay, cool. This is going to be a little press package. I can't wait to get this. Should be my picture in there, a little bio and shit. And then I'm the only one with no picture.
You're like,
I'm the TBA guy, to be announced. You know what I mean? Just a fucking shadow. I'm like, what is this? And the guy's like, oh, this is the craziest shit. I'm like, okay. He's like, you fought last year. I'm like, yeah, I fought UFC 7. He goes, yeah, that's cool. So he goes, I go over to our filing cabinet where we got all these folders on people. And he goes, so I'm going to take out your picture and do a bio from there and stuff. And he's like, I see your folder. It says Geza Kalman. I opened it up. He goes, there's nothing in there.
When you
I go, what do you mean nothing? He goes, well, didn't you send in an application? Didn't you send in a picture? I'm like, no. They're like, didn't you never filled anything out? I'm like, no, I never filled out shit. They're like, how did you ever fight? I'm like, well, I was working out with Dan before a UFC, and there was a vice president coming to our workout, right? Like it was a closed door workout. And he said there was a vice president coming, and Dan's like, that was his first fight against Ken Shamrock. And to me, that was a pivotal point of the company because you had the bodybuilder, cut up, shredded Ken, and then you had your all-American apple pie. You know what I mean? Like Dan just, he looked like an athlete, but, he wasn't pristine and as well cut and built as everything. And like I said, Ken had a great ability to make himself feel like, or make himself, just to put himself over, with whoever he was working for. So Dan was like, I don't want to show this guy any of the shit that we've been training on. I'm like, okay. So I had a good ability just with natural balance and size to keep Dan on his back whenever we worked out. Like I could legitimately keep him on his back for 20, 25, 30 minutes straight till he would reverse me. So we just kind of worked out. I kept Dan on his back, and we were working this vice president. Dan would flip me, and then within 5 seconds, I'd flip him back, which never happened. Never happened when we were grappling. But Dan was just like, I don't want to show him jack shit. So we did this for the whole hour that the guy was in there in the gym, like watching us. And afterwards, I left. And then the guy starts talking to Dan. He's like, who's this kid that you got with you? I mean, he's fucking amazing. He's reversing you and doing this move and that move. Dan's like, oh, he's just a guy that wants to work out with me. Shit, do you think he'd want to fight? Dan's like, oh, I don't know. We've never talked about him fighting. And then the next day I had an offer to fight in UFC 7.
Amazing.
He's been a worker from the beginning.
Absolutely. Like even when Dan asked me, he's like, hey, you're not going to believe this, but they're interested in you doing an alternate fight. I'm like, shit. I don't know. I never wanted to fight because when Dan would, do road work, I'd ride a bicycle. Yeah. We basically grappled together. We lifted weights and then, he would hit the bag and I would just sort of sit there and, noodle arm the bag. I had no interest in it. Right.
Yeah.
But he told me they're going to pay me. And I said, well, sure. Why not?
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Literally what I was going to ask you. Yeah. Did you have any fights before this? So your first fight was in UFC?
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like Geza and CM Punk and Brock Lesnar. Those are the only people that ever, maybe not back then. Maybe back then.
And it's absolutely funny because I trained 6 weeks for it. That's it. In those 6 weeks, I was like, well, I better stop riding the bike and maybe try doing some road work and jogging and shit. Wow. And actually hitting a bag. And you know what I mean? It was just, I trained 6 weeks for it.
And around that same time, you wrestled Mantar in the WWF.
That same year, yeah.
Wow. So you're debuting in. That's pretty impressive.
You were the first guy to make the jump.
Yeah.
Until you have.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the first guy really to make the jump was Ken.
Yeah. What was the atmosphere in the WWF like back that, Mantar days and stuff? Was it neat being backstage, or was it kind of like political?
Yeah, it was neat being backstage, but back then you weren't, you were a jobber.
Yeah.
Like you went there and did your job, right? And I mean, Jimmy Del Rey is actually back then. He was my agent. He was the guy looking for guys, and he phoned up Dean because he knew Dean, and Dean's like, yeah, I got some guys here I can send over and shit. And I was actually at home at that time. I flew back to Florida, and then I ended up doing 4 dates, and Mantar was the one that got on TV. But it's okay. I mean, I feel kind of bad because, I was a big dude. I was a 310-pound jobber. I mean, I think I was a little bigger than, what they were expecting and stuff like that. So even before we went out there, they're like, well, make sure you can pick them up and slam them. I'm like, dude, if I couldn't get fucking slammed, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't send a jobber who can't even get picked up and slammed. You know what I mean?
Do you want to put me with somebody else, maybe, or like?
Yeah. Well, they couldn't. They couldn't. I mean, there was no one really bigger than Mantar at that time, right?
Yeah.
He was hell stiff, though. Jesus.
Really?
Oh man, when he like. I don't remember a lot of the match, but I know he like bulldozed me into the corner. And when he did that, I literally felt every vertebrae from the crack of my ass to the top of my neck crack. And it was just a moment of, oh my God, that actually felt good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of those matches back then when they bring in enhancement talent were like crazy. Like they just would go all out on those guys. Like if you
absolutely.
Perry Saturn would just destroy.
That one with Mike Bell. Like this was years later. I think it was like late 90s. But yeah, that one with Mike Bell where he like dumps him on his head to the floor and like
Well, that was because he hurt Perry Saturn though too. Like he kind of dumped.
It was like a shitty arm drag or something.
He was like, okay, no, but
like I was very green at the time too. But I know if I would have waited a few more years and then gone back for enhancement, I wouldn't have had a problem doing the job. But, I definitely wouldn't let myself be taken advantage of. You know what I mean? Like right. I don't mean match-wise. I just mean stiff-wise.
Yeah, no liberties.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, some of those matches I watch, I know like Razor Ramon, some of his were pretty rough. Like he would just have, Joe Blow from wherever, and it just the way he tossed these guys, I remember way different than the way he's tossing like Kid or something on.
Well, they
on
say
Raw.
that like the British Bulldogs and stuff. Like Mick Foley said in his first match, he was an enhancement talent, and they broke his jaw, and like they really messed him up too. Like, yeah. Back in the day, they were a little
reason for it.
I can't remember the tag team, but I've seen the clip where they've launched the guy up in the air and the other guy grabs his hair and just spikes him into his Have you seen that clip?
That was wasn't that Spivey and somebody? I remember that
might
one.
Have been maybe, yeah.
That wasn't that the one though where the guy wasn't selling? Do you remember that one?
I saw that one, where the guy
that was against the Skyscrapers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they smartened him up or something because he didn't think to sell.
He took like a power bomb and just got up. It was like ready to keep going.
Yeah. They were killing him. Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah, but it looks interesting. Mantar looked like a bit of a he was a little on the stiff side. Good chiropractic skill though on the back, I guess.
Oh, absolutely.
That's awesome. Do you remember who else you worked in that? Like that was the one that got on TV. Do you remember who else you had matches with then? Or
most nights I just sat there, man. I was too big.
Oh yeah.
So, but still, I got paid to sit there. So I was like, that's all right.
Yeah.
And back then, the American dollar was good. So I flew in for 4 nights. I think it was like $250 US a night. And the plane ticket cost me like $200 Canadian. And then a buddy picked me up. I just flew down into Tampa. A buddy picked me up and off we went. So cool. It was financially okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's awesome.
So you went to Malenko's, and then how long from then did you move up to Canada?
I was always Canadian, right? So I actually like Cambridge is my home base. That's I grew up here. This is where I live now, even, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I just I went down October, I want to say 93. No, 93. I went down October 93, and then I went down for 6 months. I came home for a bit, just started doing indie shows around here and stuff. And then I wanted to go back one more time, so I went back again for 6 months.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I just, I came home at that point.
Why?
I mean, there there were tons of shows in Tampa, like tons and tons of shows, but it was just, I don't know. It was, bottom rung indie. You were making next to nothing.
Yeah.
Next to nothing. There was no way I would have been able to do enough shows to keep even food in my mouth. So
why did you go to Malenko's? Like, what made you move from Canada down there? How did you find them?
Even that's a roundabout story. There used to be a Powerhouse gym here, and I was working out at Powerhouse. I was just in college, and there was a woman there who was unofficially the world's strongest woman. I mean, I've seen this broad, Christine Dukowski. I've seen her bench 405 for reps on flat bench. I mean,
holy God.
She would never piss clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no way she would ever piss clean. So she was unofficially the world's strongest woman. And she was quitting the job because she was going on a tour of Japan for pro wrestling.
Huh.
And before she left, I finally just brought it up and was like, oh, I heard you're, leaving for pro wrestling. She's like, yeah. She was like, you should think about it. You're young, you're big, you're a strong kid. So she gave me her contact's name. And then I phoned him, and he connected me with a woman in West Unity, Ohio, a woman named Phyllis Lee. And Phyllis Lee was actually the one that helped out the 123 kid.
Oh.
When he was just a youngster and shit like that in Tampa. I mean, he mentions her, on occasion and stuff like that. She really helped him out. And she connected me with Malenko because she was tight with Larry, old Boris, the professor, Dean's dad. So that's how I went to the school. You know what I mean?
Cool.
It's just had a good reputation, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I might as well, get some good tutelage.
And did you think like Japan was going to be the way, like you're going to kind of follow her to Japan type of thing, or?
I really didn't. I don't think I had a clear plan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just kind of, I don't know. Maybe the fact of being 19 years old and thinking of moving to Florida for a while, that's not a bad idea either.
Yeah, that's that's the way to go. I think so.
Yeah.
Even now,
it kind of ruined me for Canadian winters now. I hate it. Oh,
yeah.
From the cold.
Yeah.
That first winter, Christmas Eve, I went out for one more swim in the ocean. And then I took an airplane ride home, to fucking 3 feet of snow. And I'm like, oh, this sucks.
You're like, Boxing Day, I'm heading back. I'm out of here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's what kind of pisses me off about Eddie Osborne, because I'll be shoveling snow and he sends me a picture of him fishing with his kid on the beach.
Yeah, or having a campfire or something.
Yeah, in British Columbia. Fuck off, Eddie Osborne.
Yeah. We'll have to go out there and maybe, sleep on his floor for a couple weeks or something there when it's really cold.
It's fun out there.
Yeah, see, I've been to the East Coast of Canada, for fighting and wrestling, and I really loved it, but, never traveled out west yet.
Oh man, it's awesome. Yeah, the island that Eddie lives on is awesome. He'll show you around. It's sweet out there.
Wait, it's not Campbell River?
He lives in Campbell River, which is the top of the Victoria Island, Vancouver Island, whatever.
Oh, okay.
So he's like right before the reserves start. Campbell River's the last one at the top. But there's so many cool places down there that he took me, showed me. And then even if you drive down the highway towards Victoria, it's sweet.
Yeah, I got to go check it out. But how far away is he from the Hart House? Because, I mean, if I'm way
it's not
out
even the right province.
Yeah,
I know, but
what's wrong with you?
It's closer than Ontario. Maybe we go for a few hour drive. We go check.
All right, I changed my mind. Instead of Eric fighting shoot fighters on Fridays, it's going to be Joe. You're going to get stretched every week.
Yeah, you got to look at a map there, Joe. You're fucking way out.
It's like closer than Ontario, though.
Oh, you know what I would love? I would love to plan a trip where we drive out to see Eddie, and the whole way there, we just tell Joe how we're going to stop in Calgary and go to the Hard House, and then as soon as we get to Calgary, we just fucking keep going. And don't let him out of the car.
And I wake up like, where are we? We drove
That's
right
just
by.
over the mountains there, Joe. We're almost there.
Yeah, we'll take him somewhere randomly in BC to some house and just tell him that's the Hard House. Like, yeah, this is it, man.
That's the one. That's the one.
Joe's taking pictures out front. Like, yeah, that's the Hard House.
Oh,
Yeah, Joe, make sure you add a location on there too, okay?
yeah. Oh, no.
Oh man.
We're coming
Okay.
out, Eddie. If you're listening, we're coming out. We're coming out to see you.
One more time before we get out of here, Geza, where can everybody find you on social media?
Well, social media, I'm on, Facebook. I do an Instagram with, the Instagram's not me. It's the Brotherhood of the Traveling Toilet.
So good.
Just me and my toilet and maybe a video or random pictures around town or out and about.
The one of you on the island between the road there, like right in the middle of the stoplight, is fucking hilarious.
Oh, yeah. That one drew a lot of heat for me in Cambridge here.
What? People,
I'm going to go to somewhere with a little light.
who got, like, the town of Cambridge got hot at you, or what do you mean?
No, because in Cambridge here, we seem to have a lot of homeless on the corner, a lot of panhandlers and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then there was some group like Clean Up Cambridge or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there I am, sitting on my toilet with a big sign that says "Spare change for TP." And then someone shared it with that group and was like, "Oh, look at this guy making Cambridge look bad and shit." And oh my God, I mean, it got me a lot of views and a lot of comments, and none of it bothered me. I could care less. You know
You're
what
like,
I mean?
no, I had to
Oh,
poop.
good.
It's not, I'm not, homeless.
Yeah.
I just had
Yeah.
to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
And now your newest TikTok. Sorry, what was your TikTok again? Geza _?
yeah. Geza _Kalman _Junior. It's just stupid music. Quick little music videos.
Yeah, they're
And
entertaining as
otherwise,
hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
love 'em. Yeah, I
Thank
love
you.
'em.
That's the best. Yeah, that's the best thing you put on there for sure.
All right,
This
folks.
this big tough UFC fighter wearing a Cher outfit there.
The parachute pants, man. That's the one that got me.
Oh, where'd you even find parachute pants? Did you have them made? Where would you even
No.
find those?
On Wish.
That's amazing.
Everything. You can find everything
Oh,
on
man,
Wish.
you can find all kinds of stupid shit on Wish.
Yeah.
All right, folks. That's what day is it? Tuesday morning. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks,
Get
guys.
the show on the road.
Thanks, guys.